Hi, everyone, and I'm hoping that you can hear me. Thank you so much for joining today's session. Today, we'll be talking about fast recovery, comprise file replication for Pure FlashArray. And I'm actually going to pop up our faces so you can see us. I'm Dominica Garcia. I am the Alliances Manager for Komprise. I handle the Pure relationship. And with me today, I have the file expert, Alan Driscoll, who I'll let introduce himself. Say hello, Alan.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Alan Driscoll, and I am the product manager for FlashArray file services at Pure Storage.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Alan. I also have with me Paul Chen, our product expert and one of my Komprise faves. Paul, go ahead and say hello.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Paul Chen. I'm on the product management team for Komprise, and I managed this particular asynchronous replication feature for Pure.
Awesome. There's a couple of housekeeping items I want to get out of the way in advance. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. If you have questions at all during this presentation, please put them in the chat box below at any given time. We'll try to get to them during the presentation, and if we can't get to them, we'll get to them at the end during our Q&A session. If at all this presentation seems blurry to you, you can adjust it with the setting symbol in the bottom right-hand corner so that you can see us all clearly. So let's just jump right into it because I know we don't have a ton of time. For many of you guys that don't know, Komprise and Pure have been partners for a little over 2 years. We've worked on multiple migration projects together, multiple archiving projects together, and Komprise is a data management solution. It's a software solution you can deploy in any on-prem NAS environment or cloud environment, and Komprise can quickly analyze the footprint and tell the customer exactly what the data is doing. And based on that information, Komprise can move the data to any given point the customer chooses, so the customer can put the right data on the right tier at the right time. So with that being said, it was sort of a natural transition for us to help Pure with this replication tool. So we built it. So let's dig into the meat and potatoes of that. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Alan to get us kicked off. Alan?
Great, let's get started. So Pure Storage acquired CompuVert a couple of years ago and set to work integrating this technology into the Purity operating system, with emphasis on the word integrating, because we didn't just take the existing product, drop it onto a FlashArray and run it on top of Purity. We incorporated key parts of it into Purity to get native files alongside blocks. The CompuVert stack included SMB and NFS protocols, a file system, and a storage layer. That storage layer served as a natural cut line, since the deeper layers of Purity are where so much of the magic happens. So we took the file protocols and the file system and laid them alongside our block protocols on top of our data reduction and highly available flash storage. The SMB and NFS protocols bring consolidated storage to the FlashArray, complementing its block capabilities, while the file system offers features like directory snapshots and directory level performance and space monitoring. The benefit of integrating the file protocols into the existing Purity stack is that we get the same global deduplication and compression for files as blocks across a single shared storage pool. Incoming data is compressed and written to flash storage with enough parity to reconstruct it even if 2 drives fail. If the same data is written elsewhere, this simply becomes a second mapping to the same storage. We've also integrated file services into our GUI, command line interface, and REST API. Familiar concepts like data reduction and snapshots are extended to files, while new concepts like managed directories and export policies find a natural home alongside them, building on what you already know with the simplicity you expect from Pure. Let's take a closer look at managed directories. The root of a file system is always a managed directory, and you can create other managed directories within a managed directory. The managed directories form a sort of skeleton with ordinary directories and files below. To NAS clients, a managed directory looks just like any other directory. But unlike ordinary directories, with a managed directory, you can see the directory in the GUI, command line interface, and REST API, monitor performance and space, for example, latency or data reduction, and apply export quota or snapshot policies. An ordinary directory can't be converted into a managed directory, so it's important to plan ahead. Decide where you want to apply policies or monitor performance or space, and create the skeleton before migrating data. In the simplest case, the root of the file system is the one and only managed directory. You can monitor performance and space at this level, no other, and you export the entire file system to NAS clients. Another option is to create a managed directory for each user. You export these home directories separately, maybe with different export options or permissions. You also export the root of the file system if you want, perhaps only for storage admins. You can monitor performance and space individually for each home directory, as well as for the entire file system. This lets you answer questions like, how much physical space is Naveen using? Or, is Alan still getting the same data reduction since he uploaded all those cat videos?
Good one.
A third option is to create managed directories for various purposes, perhaps one for departmental shares, another for project shares, and a third for home directories. Underneath this last managed directory, you create a managed directory for each user. You export home to all users and let file and directory permissions inside the file system decide who gets access to what. Naveen gives everyone read-only access to his home directory, but Alan hides those cat videos from his coworkers. You can monitor performance and space for each home directory, for all home directories, or departmental shares, or project shares collectively, or for the entire file system. As you can see, managed directories play a key role, but they look like ordinary directories to NAS clients, so special care has to be taken to replicate them correctly, as managed and not ordinary directories. This is where Komprise enters the story. Over to you, Paul.
Very good. Thanks, Alan. In case some of our audience aren't familiar with Komprise, I thought I'd start by reviewing the Komprise solution, which we call Intelligent Data Management. With Komprise Intelligent Data Management, you're able to know first, move smart, and take control of your massive unstructured data growth while cutting 70% of your enterprise storage, backup, and cloud costs. Komprise provides asynchronous replication to enable customers to protect data by copying snapshots from their source FlashArray files to a destination FlashArray files. The snapshots are copied on periodic schedules that you configure to create point-in-time replicas on the destination array. But beyond just copying the data, of course, Komprise also handles copying the managed directories that Alan just described. Komprise is integrated with Purity 6 to ensure that all managed directories and data will be copied correctly, and Komprise uses MD5 checksums to ensure file integrity. Finally, async replication ensures that a consistent recovery copy is always safe and available for use in failover if a source goes down. And Komprise also provides automatic failback if that source is recovered. I'm going to show you a demo of async replication, and it's going to be in 3 parts. First, I'll show you how to quickly and easily configure a new replication. Then I'll show you how to monitor and manage your running at replications. And then finally, if a source happens to go down, I'll show you how Komprise enables you to perform failover to the recovery copy, and then fail back if the source comes back. So let's go to the demo now. Here I am logged into the Komprise console. I've added 2 Pure FlashArrays to the Komprise console. So I have a FlashArray at IP address 54 and one at IP address 59. Pure FlashArray at address 54 is the one that I'm going to protect. It's got a couple shares on it, one SMB share and one NFS share. And I'll, in this demo, show you how we're going to protect the NFS share. It's already been analyzed. I can see that there are about 1,000 files on it, and it's got about 44 gigs of data. So it's a little test share that we're going to actually migrate or replicate during this demo. Just for completeness, let's look at the Pure array at address IP 59. You can see I've got a number of empty shares here ready for replication as destinations. At Komprise, whenever we see a share with no files, we do alert the user just in case there might be some permissions problem preventing Komprise from seeing files that we should. But in this case, these are all empty, waiting to be replication destinations. So to configure a replication, I go to the Replication tab. I don't have any running right now, and I configure one. There are just a few simple steps to configure a replication. First, I choose my source, and the IP address 54 array is where I'm going to choose my source. I'm going to protect my NFS share. Next, I select where I want to make the replication go. Pure Array at 59 is my destination. And you'll notice I need to select two different shares for the destination. And the reason for this is that Komprise will always make sure the recovery copy is safe and available just in case one of your sources happens to go down. The way that we do that is that we copy first into one destination, copy A. If that replication succeeds, we then mark that as the recovery copy. In the next replication run, we'll then start to copy the snapshot into the copy B destination. That way we leave the recovery copy over in copy A completely pristine and safe. Once the replication into copy B succeeds, that will be marked as the recovery copy, and then we ping pong back in the third replication back to copy A. And in this way, we always have one recovery copy and one working copy. You can see on the left, we're echoing the choices and options that you've selected, the source share, the destination shares. Now I specify the schedule. I can select how many days or weeks I would like this replication to run on, and at what time of day I would like it to start. Now, since this might be an engineering share, probably we'd like it to start a little bit later in the evening. If I happen to be traveling, I can set the time zone to match the time zone of my storage. But in this case, we'll just assume it's in our current time zone. I optionally can set a replication name. By default, Komprise will set a name that's based on the source filer, or array in this case, and the source share, and echo where that share is being replicated. In this case, if you have any NFS v4 settings, you can choose to replicate those as well. And finally, you review your replication. We echo the name. We show you the source share that you're protecting, where you're protecting it to, again, the two copies. We echo the schedule that you've configured, any special settings, and then we start. Once it starts, you'll be able to monitor and manage your replications from this main screen. This table will give you an indication of all the different sources you're protecting and whether or not there's a recovery copy. Now, in this case, I just started this replication. It's waiting to kick off its first replication run sometime tonight, but I can manually kick it off so we get an interesting demo. We'll start the replication running. At any time, you can see the status of your replications in the far left column. If you have a lot of replications, you can filter them just to see the ones of interest. The most important things you'll want to know is what's being protected and whether I have a recovery copy. You can then monitor each particular replication by diving into its details. So in this particular replication, the name is echoed up top. I can edit it if I like. I don't yet have a recovery copy because we're doing our first full copy right now, running full copy. We echo the settings of the replication in this section. Here's the source, Pure FlashArray. Here's the source share that I'm protecting. We already know the size. Komprise has scanned it. We'll now be replicating into the destination, either copy A or copy B. And if I go further down, I can see copies on the destination. There's no recovery copy yet. We're waiting for our first successful run. Meanwhile, there's a current run going on that I just started. It's going into copy A. This is the snapshot timestamp on which this replication is based. Here's the path to this particular copy. So if I ever need to know where the data is going, I have that information. And then we provide some statistics on the transfer times. We'll give you information on how much data we've seen. We'll give you information on how much data has been copied. And if there were any errors, they would show up here as well. So this view gives you very detailed information on any particular replication. At the summary level, you can see that this particular replication is running and it's proceeding along copying the data. You can also manage your replications if you need to. For example, You can change the schedule if you're not happy with it. You can always rename it. Suppose you need to do some maintenance on your FlashArray files. You can stop the replication, telling Komprise, hold on, don't try to replicate any longer right now. I need to do some maintenance. And then once you're back online, this stop button will change into a restart and you can re-enable the replication copying.
Hey, Paul, we just had a question drop in. Does Komprise asynchronous replication only support Pure FlashArray files?
Yes, at this point in time, we developed this feature expressly for Pure to help protect their Pure FlashArray files, but we will be expanding the capabilities to other file systems and file servers in the future. Let us know of your particular needs and we can have a discussion.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, Dominica. This replication's humming along. We're almost halfway done here.
We had another question jump in. What happens if data is modified after a replication run?
Okay, that's common to all replication schemes. Of course, we're replicating from a snapshot. The live file system underneath is being modified by users and applications, creating, deleting, etc., moving files around. Those changes, of course, are not reflected in the replication copy because that's based on the snapshot at a given point in time. However, those changes would be captured in the next iteration. And so the schedule that you set pretty much determines how much data you might lose if you have to fail back to a particular recovery copy. Speaking of failover, it's probably a good idea to always review what you would need to do in case your source went down. So we have in the management action menu a failover option. And it's safe to do this at any time. It gives you information about where your recovery copy would be. And in this case, it's now finished and we see it's on the Pure FlashArray at 59, IP address 59. Here's the location of the recovery copy, and here's the date and timestamp of it. If you needed to do failover, which I'll demonstrate in a moment, you would stop the replication, basically telling Komprise, my source is dead, and now I need you to stop replicating. There's no point, it's not available, and I need to, as quickly as possible, transition my users over to that recovery copy. So before I do that, let's take a look. It's 100% processed. I see the recovery copy is a few minutes old. If I need to know more information about it, I can click on it and I find out again exactly where is the recovery copy. So I've gone through configuring, I've gone through monitoring and managing replications. Now let's talk about the disaster. Things may be humming along for years very happily, and then suddenly, for some reason, a FlashArray goes down, or even worse, if a whole site craters. You would want to immediately transition your business users over to the recovery copy so that you can continue business operations. If you only have a single FlashArray go down, it's very simple to find that information. You click on the link and you can find out where you need to point your users. If, however, you have 127 or 1052 sources that you are protecting, you can then export a recovery report. And this will give you a list of all the sources you're protecting and every one of their recovery copies. So in one report, you'll find out where you need to point all your users to. So that's your most important task, to make sure your business is still operating even after the servers have failed. Then you'll go back to Komprise and actually start the failover. You'll tell Komprise, my source is no longer available. You need to stop the replication. Komprise now echoes to that this particular replication is in failover status. And in failover status, nothing happens to the replication. We maintain the schedule in case you need to reinstate the replication. We continue to show you the last information we knew about it. But at this point in time, the source is no longer available, and your users are now using the recovery copy as their live file system. So they're going about their daily work, they're adding files, deleting files, modifying files. Meanwhile, Komprise is in a hold pattern while you're in failover. Now let's say your IT team performs a miraculous recovery of that source and it's now recovered. What you want to do is then perform a fail back. You want to copy all the changes from the recovery copy back to the original source so you can get it into working order. To do that, you simply instate the failback command. And there's some explanation here on what will happen, but essentially Komprise is going to automatically reverse the replication direction. Instead of copying from the source to the destination to protect it, we're now going to be copying from the recovery copy, which has the latest versions of all the files, back to the source. And if we look at the details of what's happening, we're now in failback. A failback run has succeeded already. Generally, every hour, failback runs will copy the data from the recovery copy back to the source. Of course, your users are still using that recovery copy. So at some point, you'll want to tell them, hey, stop for a moment. You'll set the recovery copy as read-only so that you can do a final failback run to capture all the last changes they've made on that recovery copy. So now we're running another failback run. We're doing copying the changes from the recovery copy if there were any. And when this run is complete, then I can tell Komprise my source is back to normal. It has all the latest data. Now I want you to start protecting it again. And the way we would do that is by saying, please complete the failback. So failback now has a check mark. Failback run has succeeded. I can say to Komprise, let's complete the failback. My source is back to working. Please start protecting it again. And now it enters the regular schedule that you had set before. We'll now start to protect that source again in the forward direction. So this is how Komprise, with asynchronous replication, provides protection for your Pure FlashArrays. Now, once you've got data on your Pure FlashArrays, you may want to do other things with it. Komprise provides deep analytics and analysis of the data on your shares. So for example, you can see what is the age breakdown of the data that I have? How recently has the data been accessed? And how much cold data do I have? Once you know that, you can make informed decisions about potentially archiving some of that data to a cheaper storage or even into the cloud. Komprise also gives you analysis about the kinds of data that you have. We'll analyze the types of files that you have and again, show you the age breakdowns for each particular type. You can find out information about your distribution of file sizes. Do you have mostly large files? Do you have mostly small files? This can also help you decide what files to archive first. You'd want to archive the larger files that are cold to get the most bang for the buck. You can find out who is storing most of the data. Do Alan's cat videos take up a predominantly untoward share, a source or portion of a source share? You can find out which groups is engineering or QA consuming most data. This is useful for chargeback or even just shameback, to let them know how much of the corporation's resources they're spending on storage.
Shame usually works. Hey, Paul, quick question. Somebody had brought in the chat, they asked about performance. Can you just cover performance a little bit, not only on the replication portion, but even on the analytics portion of Komprise?
Sure. Let's start at the analytics because that's where everything starts. With Komprise, you have to know first. As soon as you start to add a share to Komprise, Komprise will start to analyze that share. And we do it in a very incremental way. We have a patented method of what we call sparse n-dimensional cubes that basically, we are scanning every file on your file systems, but we do it in an aggregate way so that very quickly, within 15 minutes, you can get a pretty good picture of how much data is on your source and if anything has been archived. But then we iteratively continue to do scans over time and we refine the results so that over time you narrow in and get much tighter numbers on numbers of files in each particular age bracket. We have a different engine that does the data transfers. So we have fast data analysis. Data transfer, of course, is something different. When we do replication and when we do migrations, we actually do the MD5 checksums both on the source and the destination. So that is a lot of work. We have been able to tune our migration engine so that it is 27 times faster than Robocopy over NFS. This is, of course, under lab conditions. Your mileage may vary. SMB is a little bit slower because of the protocol, but we have optimized that as well. So again, your mileage may vary. It depends on your particular data sets, how many files, the distribution of files across directories. But the performance, we think, is very good, especially compared to some of the other tools that are out there. Finally, Komprise also gives you the ability to migrate data. I mentioned that earlier. Now that you've got your Pure FlashArrays, you probably want to get more data onto them so you can use them. With Komprise, you can use the migration capability. It's very similar to the replication. You set up migrations to move data or copy data from a particular source over to any other system, such as your Pure FlashArrays. So all of these capabilities are now available for Pure FlashArray files with Komprise. So in summary, Pure FlashArray now supports both file and block, and Pure has partnered with Komprise to provide intelligent data management for FlashArray files, including asynchronous replication for protecting your FlashArray files content.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. So we're going to open it up for questions. We had a few come in during the presentation. So any other last minute questions before we sign off? I do want to mention to learn more about Replication and Komprise and how we're working with Pure, you can go to komprise.com/pure-storage. You can schedule a demo. We're giving you all the links. If you need more information, if you have more questions or need more information on FlashArray, asynchronous replication, you can email info@purestorage.com. We had another question come through. Can I only replicate one source to one destination?
No, in fact, Komprise enables you to configure multiple replication configurations. In the simplest case, you can replicate a source to a destination. You can also fan out. You can replicate one source to multiple destinations. You can do cascading, replicating one source to a destination and then replicating that destination somewhere else. You can also do fan-in, where you replicate multiple sources into a common destination. So all the common replication scenarios are supported.
Awesome. We had another question come through. Does this run on the array? Is it part of the Purity operating system? I think that's an Alan question.
Yeah, so this does not run on the array or using our Purity Run platform. It's not part of the Purity operating system, but it does call into our APIs in order to accomplish some of the things we've talked about, like replicating managed directories as managed directories, which NAS clients can't see in that way. But it runs off of the box. Yeah.
Oh, this is a good question. Is Pure giving this away?
We are not giving this away. So we are selling this product, and what we're selling is an unlimited capacity flat rate license for a single source array. So for example, if you're fanning out, you still just have one source. But if you have multiple source arrays, then you would want to license each one.
And I also want to make it clear that today Pure is the only person or the only company that can sell this product. Komprise will not be selling this product, so you will have to purchase this product through Pure today. How can I buy this? Do I talk to Komprise or Pure Storage? I think I just answered in advance. Contact Pure; they'll be able to get you through the process. How does support work? Who do I call?
So you'll buy it from us, from Pure Storage, and we'll do the frontline support. So call it. We don't expect you to have problems, but if you do, call us.
Call Pure. Call Pure for everything. Komprise is just here to support Pure in all ways. Any final questions before we sign off? I know that we had why does Pure Storage use Komprise asynchronous replication for FlashArray file services, but not for FlashBlade?
Well, we have native file replication on FlashBlade. We've had that for a while, and we don't. That's not something that we have on FlashArray. As everyone knows, long distance relationships are hard. Replication is something that takes a while to build. And that's the essence of it. So we use Komprise for replication. I'm sorry, for migration all around, and where we don't have the native replication on FlashArray.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining today's call. If there are any last questions, type them in quickly before we sign off. Again, I want to say thank you for joining. Thanks for all the great questions. If you have any further questions about this product or about FlashArray file services, reach out to Pure directly. Komprise is just here to support. And thank you so much for joining today's session. Again, if you have questions, reach out to info@purestorage.com. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.